Good morning. Did you ever wonder why two plants planted in the same location, same amount of sunlight, getting same amount of sunlight and getting same amount of water, but one will be thriving where the other is suffering? And you want to, most of the time, it draws down to the water, especially when we see that the plant is wilting eventually and drying down eventually. It comes down to watering. We do water the plants equally, but what happens is at the root of the plant, the water keeps draining in an opposite way. So I tried to dig up near this plant to see, and I saw that 3 to 4 inches away from the root of this plant, the soil is extremely dry and super hard, that I really need to get through this soil with my shovel. And what I'm going to do to revive this plant is I have made sure to make a small trench wherever the area is really dry, and the plant roots are alive and it still has life, and mums are really hardy plants. So I'm going to go ahead and make a deep trench around this plant. See how dry the soil is at the root of the plant. I just watered this yesterday, but there is absolutely no moisture at the roots of the plant. We feel that we are watering, but most of the times it must be running down through here or somewhere in a different direction, but it's not soaking in. That's why it's very important to deep water our plants. Stay and watch, especially when a plant is not doing well. When you water the plant, take a minute to watch where the water is running or if it is soaking into the soil. So what I did is I went ahead and bought some home compost, the compost that I made at home, with all the vegetable waste. Look at the amount of worms we have in that compost. This is just, it feels so successful to see the amount of soil life that we have there. All the worms, that's beautiful. So I'm just going to add all of this compost in the trench that I have made. That's quite some amount of, and then I'll quickly water this just to make sure that the worms are not stressing. There we go. And backfill, and within a week for sure the plant will revive and it will be as beautiful and as healthy as the plant next to it. So I'm going to go ahead and water this plant really well now, and we'll wait for the water to really soak in. There we go. I'm making sure to water the area very well and making sure the water is soaking in rather than running off the plant. Now I see that the water is soaking here, and so I'm just making sure to make a small amount of leaves to keep the moisture intact for the roots and as well as for the worms that just came here. They need to make this their home. There's some food for the plant, for the worms. By adding some mulch, there is warmth. And we'll go ahead and water again. We need to make sure the water is staying at the roots of the plant and not running off the roots. Most of the times that will be the main reason. This plant will take about a week to 10 days to revive, because the roots and the around the plant needs to pick up, because they also must have become quite hydrophobic by now, because it's been dry for a very long time. So I'll re-water this in I'll come back and water this again in 2 to 3 minutes. That way I know the water soaked into the soil. I'll give an update within a few days as soon as I see that this plant picked up to as nice and healthy as this mom's. We can't let that plant die.